Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Amelia Earhart is a very famous name. She was an American woman who lived many years ago. People all over the world knew her. Her life was exciting and showed great bravery. Many people looked up to her. She was known for her courage. She also seemed a little mysterious to some. Amelia Earhart became famous because she was a very good pilot. In the early days of flying, airplanes were not as safe as they are today. Flying long distances was very dangerous. Amelia was not afraid to fly. She had a natural talent for it. She was one of the very first women to fly airplanes and become known internationally. Her fame came because of her own skills and her adventurous spirit. She showed that an American woman could become well-known and successful based on her own abilities, not just because of who her family was or whom she married. But Amelia Earhart did much more than just fly planes. She used her fame to help others and share her ideas. She traveled across the country, giving lectures to large audiences. She talked about the future of flying and how important it was. More than that, she spoke about women's rights and opportunities. She strongly believed that women should have the same chances as men in all areas of life. She worked hard to inspire young women. She encouraged them to study subjects like science, technology, and engineering, which were not common fields for women at that time. She was also a talented writer, sharing her stories and opinions in books and magazines. She taught others through her words and her example. Amelia Earhart was a brave pilot, a speaker, a writer, and an educator. Her life was a powerful example of independence and talent. She showed the world what women could achieve. Her story remains a source of inspiration for many people today, highlighting the importance of courage and following your dreams. 2. A girl from Kansas. Amelia Mary Earhart was born in Atchison, Kansas. The date was July 24, 1897. Her parents were Amy and Edwin Earhart. Amelia spent most of her young years in Atchison, not in Kansas City where her parents lived. She lived in a large house on North Terrace with her wealthy grandparents. Her grandparents were Judge Alfred Gideon Otis and his wife, Amelia Hars Otis. Their house overlooked the Missouri River. Her grandmother was lonely after family deaths, and her daughter moved away. So Amelia went to live with her grandparents when she was 3 years old. This was a very comfortable home. Servants helped with everything in the house and garden. The cook was named Mary Brashay. The gardener was named Charlie Parks. Amelia was cared for very well by these loyal servants. Judge Otis was a serious and distant man. Mrs. Otis was kind, but she worried a lot. Even so, Amelia had a safe and happy childhood in their home. From a young age, Amelia showed she was very independent. She liked adventure and trying new things. She did not always do what girls usually did in that time. She often played like a boy. She loved to explore outside. She explored caves near the river, even though her grandmother told her not to go there. She built a small roller coaster in the backyard. It was made of wood and used wheels from roller skates. She rode it first, even though it was a little dangerous. She also rode horses, sometimes secretly, on the butcher's large horses. She liked to play rough games and wrestle with her boy friends and cousins. She did not like the limits placed on girls. Amelia was thin with freckles and straight, dark blonde hair. She had gray eyes. She was healthy and strong, unlike her mother, who was often sick. She learned to read books early and loved spending hours in the library. She used her imagination a lot. She invented games, like a game called Bogey. In this game, she and her cousins, Lucy and Catch Chalice, pretended to travel the world in an old carriage in the barn. They always played as boys in this game because they thought boys had more freedom. Her best friends were her cousins, Lucy and Catch Chalice, who lived next door, and Virginia Park. They went to the private college preparatory school together in Atchison. Amelia was a good student, but she liked to do things her own way. She liked sports like basketball and baseball and played them with her friends. She even taught boys how to play sometimes. In the summers, Amelia went to Kansas City to stay with her parents and her younger sister, Muriel. Life there was less strict. Her father, Edwin, was affectionate and liked the girls to be free and try things. Amelia's childhood in Atchison gave her a love for adventure and a strong, independent spirit that would stay with her all her life. 3. Helping others. Amelia went to school in Atchison for some years. Her family moved to Des Moines, so she went to school there too. Her father had problems with his job, and this meant the family moved often to different places. Amelia went to a special school called Agaunce for a time. During these years, Amelia started to think about jobs for women. She saw that many jobs were only for men. She wondered what women could do. She wanted women to have more choices. Then, World War I started in Europe. Amelia was in Toronto, Canada, during this time. She saw many soldiers who came back from the war. They were hurt and needed help. Seeing these soldiers made a big impression on her. She felt she wanted to help them. She decided to become a nurse's aide. This meant she would help the nurses take care of people. She took classes to learn how to do this job. After her training, she started working in a military hospital in Toronto. She helped care for the soldiers who were injured in the war. It was hard work and she saw many difficult things, but she wanted to help the soldiers get better. After working in the hospital for some time, Amelia got sick herself. It was a serious sickness. She had pain in her head and face. She needed help to get better. She stopped working at the hospital. It took her a long time to feel well again. She needed rest and time to recover from her illness. She stayed in different places while she was getting better. This time was difficult for her because she was not strong. But slowly, she started to feel better and get her strength back. She began to think about what she would do next in her life. 4. First flights. Amelia moved to California with her parents. This was in the summer of 1920. California was a good place for flying. Many airfields were opening. Amelia went to an air show. She saw planes doing stunts. She felt a strong wish to fly herself. In December of the same year, she had her first ride in an airplane. It was with a pilot named Frank Hawks. After this first flight, Amelia knew she wanted to learn. She decided to find a female pilot to teach her. She found Netta Snook. Netta owned a plane called a Canuck. Amelia started flying lessons with Netta in January 1921. Learning to fly was not easy. Amelia had to learn how to keep the plane flying straight and level. She also learned how to turn and land. In the summer of 1921, Amelia bought her first plane. It was a small plane called the Kinner Airster. It cost $2,000. Her parents helped her buy it. Amelia also got a job as a clerk to help pay for it. The Kinner Airster was smaller and lighter than other planes. It was also faster and easier to fly. Amelia loved her new plane. Amelia wanted to be a good pilot. She decided to learn how to do stunts in the air. She learned with a pilot named John Montijo. She learned different moves like turns, dives, spins, and loops. Learning stunts helped her feel comfortable flying the plane in any situation. A few months later, she flew the plane alone for the first time. This is called soloing. Amelia started taking part in air shows. She flew her Kinner Airster in these shows. People came to watch the pilots fly. Amelia became known as a pilot in California. In November 1921, she set a record. She flew her Kinner Airster higher than any woman had flown before. She reached over 14,000 feet. Amelia was happy flying her own plane and showing her skills. 5. Across the ocean. Amy Guest, a rich woman, had an idea. She wanted an American woman to be the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. No woman had flown across the ocean before. Amy Guest started a project to make this happen. She looked for the right person. George Palmer Putnam, a man who knew many people, helped her find someone. They chose Amelia Earhart. Amy Guest wanted a woman who was educated, like a lady, and also knew about airplanes. Amelia was a good person for this. Getting ready for the flight took much work. The plane was a large Fokker. They changed it to land on water, adding big floats. They named the plane the Friendship. Amelia was not the pilot for this flight. The two skilled pilots, Wilmer Stultz and Louis Gordon, flew the plane. Amelia was a passenger, but she was the first woman passenger to try this flight. They flew from Boston to a place in Newfoundland, Canada, first. The weather was very bad there. They had to wait for many days in a small town called Trepassey. It was foggy and windy. It was hard for the heavy plane to take off from the water. Finally, the weather was good enough. They took off from Newfoundland. The flight across the Atlantic was long and difficult. They flew over the ocean for about 20 hours. There was fog and storms during the flight. They planned to land in England or France. But because of the weather or other problems, they landed in a different country. They landed in Wales, which is part of Great Britain. The place was called Bury Port. When the plane landed, people in the small town were very surprised to see it. News of the landing traveled very fast around the world. Amelia Earhart became famous very quickly. People knew her name everywhere. They called her Lady Lindy, like the famous pilot Charles Lindbergh. She traveled to London and other cities in England. Many people wanted to meet her and hear her story. She was now famous not just for flying, but because she was the first woman passenger to cross the Atlantic. This flight changed her life. She became a famous person. 6. A famous life. After the flight across the Atlantic Ocean in the Friendship airplane, Amelia Earhart became very famous. Her life changed quickly and completely. People all over the world knew her name. She was a big celebrity. She received much attention from the public and the press. This was a new kind of life for her after being a social worker. She handled the fame with grace and poise. She worked closely with George Palmer Putnam. He was a well-known publisher. They had met before the friendship flight, but now he helped her manage her new famous life. He became her agent and advisor for her career. Amelia wrote about her flight for big newspapers like the New York Times in America. She also wrote for newspapers in London. She wrote a book too called 20 HRS, 40 Min. It told the story of her flight across the ocean. George Putnam published her book quickly. He helped her share her story with many people around the world through writing. Amelia traveled across the United States many times. She gave many lectures to large groups of people. She spoke in auditoriums and clubs in many cities. She talked about her flying adventures and her experiences. She used her talks to help people feel good about flying. She told people flying was safe and fun for everyone. She also spoke about women's rights and opportunities. She encouraged women to be brave and independent. She told them to try new careers and jobs. She said women could do anything men could do if they worked hard and were determined. She wanted more women to work, especially in the growing field of aviation. She wrote articles about flying for Cosmopolitan magazine. She became the aviation editor there. This was a new job in magazines at that time. Amelia also worked for companies that used airplanes for travel. She worked for Transcontinental Air Transport. People called this airline TAT. Later, she worked for another airline company. It was called the New York, Philadelphia, and Washington Airway Corporation. She helped these airlines become more popular. She helped get more people to travel by air. She especially wanted women and families to feel comfortable flying. Amelia used her famous life in a helpful way. She helped the world of flying grow and become more accepted. She also showed that women are strong and can achieve important things through their own talents and courage. Her life was very busy and full of travel, writing, and work after the flight. Her schedule was very demanding. She became more than just a pilot. She was a writer, a popular lecturer, and a promoter for aviation and for women in aviation. 7. Flying solo. Amelia Earhart had a strong desire. She wanted to prove herself as a pilot. She wanted to fly the Atlantic Ocean alone. This was a big and dangerous plan. Many people had tried this flight, but not many had finished it. Amelia started planning this solo trip across the ocean. The time came in the year 1932. Amelia was ready. She took her airplane and started her flight from Newfoundland. This place is in Canada. It was a very long trip over the water. She flew for many hours. Her goal was to land in Ireland. Ireland is a country in Europe. Amelia flew the whole way alone. It was a difficult flight, but she was a skilled pilot. She landed safely in a field in Ireland. She was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. This flight helped her break several records. She became even more famous. She was now the most famous woman pilot in the world. After this famous flight, Amelia continued her work in aviation. She also made a connection with a university. This was Purdue University in the United States. She worked there and helped the university. Her work had an important purpose. She wanted to help young women. At Purdue, she encouraged women students. She wanted them to study subjects like science and engineering. These were often seen as jobs for men. Amelia wanted women to know they could work in these fields too. She believed in women having careers and being independent. Her own life was an example of this. She used her fame to open doors for other women in aviation and other jobs. She worked hard to show that women could do anything men could do. 8. Around the world. Amelia had a big dream to fly around the world. She wanted to fly near the middle of the Earth, close to the equator. For this flight, she got a new plane, a modern Lockheed Electra. This plane was like a special flying room for experiments. Purdue University helped her with this project. They gave her money and support for the plane and the flight. Her first try to fly around the world started in California. She planned to fly west across the Pacific Ocean first. But during the takeoff from Hawaii, the plane had a problem and crashed. The plane was broken, but Amelia and the other people were not hurt badly. This meant the first plan had to stop. After the plane was fixed, Amelia wanted to try again. This time, she decided to start from the east coast of the United States and fly east. She started from Miami, Florida. With her was a man named Fred Noonan. He was a navigator. A navigator helps the pilot find the way, especially over the ocean where there are no roads or signs. The journey was very long. They flew across the Atlantic Ocean. Then they flew over Africa. After Africa, they flew over India and other countries in Southeast Asia. The flight had many stops along the way to get more fuel and rest. They flew for many days and nights, covering thousands of miles. They finally reached a place called Lee in New Guinea. This was a very important stop. From Lee, they planned to fly across a large part of the Pacific Ocean to a very small island called Howland Island. This part of the flight was very difficult because Howland Island is tiny and hard to find in the big ocean. The flight from Lee to Howland Island was the last and hardest part of their trip around the world. They had problems with their radio. It was difficult to talk to people on the ground or on ships. Finding the small island in the large Pacific Ocean was a big challenge. They flew for many hours looking for the island. Then the plane disappeared. No one heard from Amelia and Fred Noonan again. People started a very large search. Ships and planes looked for them everywhere in the area where they thought the plane might be. The search was very big, but they could not find the plane or Amelia and Fred. Amelia Earhart did not finish her flight around the world, but her courage and spirit still help many people today. She showed that women can be brave and try difficult things just like men. What do you admire most about Amelia Earhart?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.